This will hardly be any fun at all.
Yeah, for you, Creepazoid! Blackarachnia, maximize!
Love the new look. Goodbye! Too much energy. Maximize!
Alert. Quantum surge detected. Vector 597.
No! Not that!
Greetings, Shell Programs. Welcome to episode 43 of Too Much ENERGON, the Lasercomb podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal.
What's going on, Cal?
Doing the Victorian thing of complaining about it being too hot when it's actually really mild.
Yeah, I think that came up on a previous episode of the podcast. So, listeners, that is very much a Victoria thing.
Mm-hmm.
Although right now, I've heard a couple of people in the past few days refer to the weather right now as January.
But it's not cold.
It's been kind of chilly the past few days, like relatively so compared to a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Like it's cooler, but like by cool they mean like 10 to 15 degrees, and it's usually hotter by then. But it's because like it'll rain and lower the temperature, and there'll be a cloudy day, and honestly, I fucking love that.
Yeah,
like 12 degrees for me is Celsius. 12 degrees, which is still cold for some people, is like perfect weather.
It's a little chilly for me. I think my sweet spot's about 15.
I can do 15. Like shorts and t-shirt, I can do 15. Can't wear any more layers than that once it gets above that. Like there was a heat warning on the East Coast, like Newfoundland, and it was like temperatures approaching like 30 plus. And I'm like, man, Lady Glitch, where she is, it's like 30-ish there. And I'm like, man, no, please no. And humid? No, can't do that. None of that for me, good sir.
For anyone wondering who Lady Glitch is, she is a fan/friend from of ours from our other podcast, Alphanumeric, where we do this, but we talk about Reboot. She's been on an episode of that.
Yeah.
Trippy
episode.
She also did an episode of Cartoons at Night with me, where we talked about Stan Lee's Stripperella. Fucking terrible series. but it was a fun. It was a fun episode to record, though.
There's something freeing about just like ripping apart like something, right?
Yeah. I speaking of podcasts, I bought some books today for another podcast that I do. Picked up
Starship Troopers.
No, but that is in the pile. And believe it or not, not that I've never seen the movie, but like I saw it at someone's house once, like 20 years ago when we were chilling out drinking. So like I've kind of seen it, but not really, you know?
It is actually in my top 10 like favorite movies. If you haven't seen it in a long time, you're in for such a treat.
It's a Paul Verhoeven film, so like I mean he directed like one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of all time, in RoboCop. So
yeah, I was going to say like you're probably a fan.
Yeah.
Fucking love Starship Troopers, man.
Directed Total Recall.
I love Total
Showgirls,
Recall too.
which I've never
Oh, I
seen.
forgot about Showgirls.
But Showgirl, it was I remember like in the mid 90s, like Showgirls was this big like box office disaster, and it like bankrupted the Carol Co. Pictures, I think was who produced it. And they it bankrupted them. And like Carol Co. like did a number of fairly prolific 80s films like RoboCop, Terminator, and just a lot of 80s genre pictures.
Isn't it weird how one bad thing can ruin a company?
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not even a whole project, one person.
Yeah, just one person, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I never saw Showgirls, but like it has a cult following now, and it's like it's become one of those movies that people watch because it's so bad it's good.
My uncle had it on VHS.
Yeah.
And I had one of those TVs in my room with the VHS player built in.
And you're like, sweet tits.
Yeah, but other than that, it's like only okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't particularly deserve a cult following. Like it's not even like so bad it's good. It's just kind of bad.
Yeah.
There's like boobs in it, and like it's just not like you'd watch it and you'd go, I wouldn't watch it again, but
it's stuck out in my head for the past like 25 or so years now. But like I remember seeing a TV spot for it when I was like, I think 10. And it's like this one dude in a club, and he calls like this one of the leads of the film, he calls her a stripper, and she's like, I'm a dancer. It's like all I know.
Whatever you say, lady.
Yeah, it's like all I know of Showgirls is just that one little line of dialogue from this random TV spot. But no, the books that I did pick up today, I picked up The Hunt for Red October, which I haven't read since I was a teenager, but because I was an old man I was a middle-aged man in a teenager's body, I read quite a bit of Tom Clancy when I was in my mid-teens.
I know we've discussed this.
We have, yeah.
But I found that when I initially found out that you had read some, I'm like, but you're not a 50-year-old conservative.
You're right.
Like you don't love guns. Why is Christopher reading these?
I have this bizarre.
It's so bizarre that you've read them. You're like the only person and the only millennial, I swear, that's like read any Tom Clancy.
I have this bizarre affinity for like, kind of like nuts and bolts espionage.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
So I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it's always appealed to me.
Metal Gear Solid, Tom Clancy books. There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, so Hunt for Red October, and by the way, these books were purchased for my podcast Based On, where me and my partner talk about movies based on books and the books they're based on. So we talk about a movie and a book.
Yeah, and I think
in each podcast.
A couple episodes out already.
We have 3 episodes out now. The latest one just dropped. It's about where the wild things are. Check it out. It's actually it was a good recording.
Cool, good. The movie's weird, huh?
It is. It's a very strange film.
Weird. It's strange,
but it's
almost scary, but like not.
I had never seen it until like last weekend, but it's a Spike Jonze film. Spike Jonze being the director of Being John Malkovich, so I'm not really surprised at it.
Weird choice.
The movie is very much like Spike Jonze, like completely unhinged. Like it's Spike Jonze like leaning into all of his weird eccentricities. But just go listen to the podcast.
Go check it out. Yeah.
And listeners, if you're curious about my thoughts, just go listen to Based On Where the Wild Things Are. It's Yeah, talk about
It's
it
a
for
good
about an
choice.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hunt for Red October. What else did I pick up? I picked up L.A. Confidential by James Ellroy.
L.A. Confidential.
It was.
Never seen it or read it.
I've seen the movie. I've never read the book, but the movie was nominated for Best Picture in 1997 at the Oscars, and totally should have won. And it lost out to like a stupid little movie that no one remembers about a boat that sank, directed by some guy named Cameron.
Stupid little boat. Yeah.
Only the second highest grossing movie of all, or I guess it's third now. For a while,
Isn't it like ninth? Like the Marvel movies keep like chunking that back a bunch.
I think it's
because
still
everyone's tossing money at it.
I think it's third.
It's still? Wow.
Which, if you adjust for inflation, like
that's what I mean. I was like, still, even like,
yeah,
that's.
But yeah, L.A. Confidential lost out to Titanic, and Titanic is a really good movie.
Pretty good.
It is, yeah.
Titanic's number 3. You're right.
Yeah.
What? Wow.
L.A. Confidential.
I just assumed recent movies would be beating them, right? But L.A. Confidential's better, you say?
It is. It's a great film. I haven't seen it in probably about a decade or so, if not more. But yeah, be covering that on the podcast eventually. And I also bought American Psycho, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And for whatever reason, I just never actually owned a copy. I always borrow it from the library whenever I want to read it.
Yeah, that's when I read it. I don't know if I got through it. I would always read like 4 books at a time and then finish none of them.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Though.
That is how I play video games. Cheers.
Yeah, it's how many movies there's 2 or is there 1? Based on loosely on the book.
There is 1 movie that is based on the book. It's not the most faithful adaptation, but I think it captures the essence of the book well enough. It's faithful. It just omits a lot.
Yeah. Christian Bale, I think.
Christian Bale, yeah, and he's perfect as Patrick Bateman. There was a direct-to-video sequel that came out, I think, in 2003, starring Mila Kunis.
I think I watched that.
Never saw it.
Like at midnight somewhere.
Never had any interest in seeing it.
No, it's not great. I've seen it.
American Psycho 2, Psycho Harder. American Psycho 2, Kiss Kissay.
Kiss Kissay. Yeah. Mila Kunis is... Yeah, I've seen that. But I don't think what's his name is in it.
Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I would be amazed if he was. I remember when he got cast as Bruce Wayne for Batman Begins. So
everyone bitched and said it was terrible.
Well, I don't remember that, but like
okay.
I remember people flipping out about Heath Ledger as the Joker, and look how that turned out.
Amazing, yeah.
No, I remember just on like the corners of the internet that I was running in at the time were either like metal forums or like Star Trek shit. Like metal forums
usual.
or like sci-fi type stuff. And I knew Christian Bale as the dude from American Psycho because like I saw American Psycho when it first came out when I was like 15. Yeah. I was like, hey, this movie's up my alley. I'll go check it out. And then I ended up reading the book. But like that's what I knew Christian Bale from. Like to me, he was always just Patrick Bateman. And everyone on whatever metal forum or like sci-fi like nerddom forum that I was a member of at the time were always like, "Oh, that's the guy from Equilibrium," which was a movie I had never even heard of at this point. I ended up
I had
watching
only
it.
watched Equilibrium years later. Like I think The Machinist was
Yeah.
I had seen before.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Equilibrium existed until like 2000 years later.
Well, I ended up seeking out Equilibrium just because like all of these, like everyone was like, "Oh, it's the guy from Equilibrium." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll go check that out." And like all of these people were like, "Oh, but oh, American Psycho, I don't even know what that is." And I'm just like, "Really?"
Weird that they would reference something so outlandish as Equilibrium
And like
and
this
not
wasn't
know American
yeah,
Psycho isn't a small film.
no, it's not.
Was it some indie film that like never hit theaters?
Well, it was an independent film, but
I just meant it wasn't like a Sundance festival like unknown, right?
yeah.
He's the Equilibrium guy. What weird.
I think what it just came down to was nerds weren't watching movies about yuppie businessmen hacking and eating people.
They have their priorities in the wrong place.
They
love
they were watching weird dystopian sci-fi films about gun katas.
Gun fu. The Grammaton cleric learns his gun fu.
Oh, Grammaton. Wow, yeah. And hey, Sean Bean dies in that movie. What a shock.
Sometimes I get bored and I go and watch like a Sean Bean death reel. And it genuinely does seem like he only takes parts where he dies.
I can name a movie off the top of my head where he lives.
I used to be able to, and I can't think of it right now.
Silent Hill.
Damn it. I remember watching.
He dies in the sequel.
That pissed me off. Like, yeah.
They're like, oh shit. He slipped through the death cracks of the script of the first film. We better fix that in the sequel.
I found
Fucking
Silent
terrible
Hill 2,
sequel.
by the way. So it has its problems. Some people really don't like the Silent Hill movie. Even non-Silent Hill fans are like, I think it's just a joy. I love it. I don't know why. The effects.
I think
journey.
Silent Hill is probably still the best video game movie.
There you go. I would agree. I would actually agree. I like it. I like it a lot.
That film has some hope. The biggest problem with it is the dialogue in the film is pretty hokey at times.
A little, but I think the main plot and the conflict is delivered pretty well, as well as the unknown terror of the movie.
And like you can tell that the movie was made by people who really liked the games.
I feel like it.
Yeah,
like I genuinely feel, including like the little like dudes with this like chest bursting open and spraying the acid.
Yeah, they straight up use the score from the games in the film.
Akira Yamaoka.
Yamaoka,
yeah. It was like, I'm never going to be able to remember this, but there it was. That being said, and again, I love that Silent Hill 2 is one of the few movies I would give 0 out of 10.
It's a shame too, because it's based on the game Silent Hill 3, which is actually my favorite. Controversial opinion. It's my favorite installment in the series.
And
I like it. I like Silent Hill 3
Kit
more than 2.
Harington's in it. He doesn't save it. This is before Game of Thrones. It's weird because the first time I watched it was after Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones was already out by this point. But it had only been on the air for about a year or so.
Oh, I thought it was he did it like right before, but he must have done it right after it started. Okay.
Yeah, because Game of Thrones came out in like, I think it was March 2011, and Silent Hill Revelation came out sometime in 2012.
Why was that so bad? And I wanted to like it because I like the plot of 3.
Yeah,
Right?
me too.
It's mindfucky and deals with reincarnation, blah 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 blah. But it's very Silent Hill-y, and I think it has the most amount of endings. So there's something dumb like 7 endings if you include
that's 2. Silent Hill
Is that 2?
3. Yeah, Silent Hill 3 only has 3 endings.
Oh, but are they all serious
Nope.
endings? No,
No,
is there a UFO?
there are 2 serious endings, and there's the UFO ending.
Okay.
The UFO ending in that game is pretty hilarious, and you get a very fun song that plays at the end.
I'm gonna go and Google it because I've never.
You should. It's
Okay.
what's it called? I don't know. Just like Google like Silent Hill 3 UFO ending credits music.
Anyone listening that's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? It's like a running gag that one of the joke endings for Silent Hill games is UFOs did it.
Silent Hill 2 also had a joke ending called the dog ending, where you find out everything is just been the machinations of a like dog, an alien dog, in like a control room with a bunch of monitors.
Right. I remember watching after I beat it the first time. I just went and like online and like read and looked up how you get the other ones, the other endings, right? I remember reading it, but I never watched them.
The way you get endings, like the different endings in that game, like is so nuanced.
You wouldn't. I don't know how people figure it out by trial and error.
Yeah, it's like I replayed through it. I think like maybe a year or 2 ago,
2 or
2
3
years ago, Silent Hill 2.
2.
And I was trying to get the in water ending because that's my favorite ending in the game.
Right.
Which is it's kind of grim, but basically he like feels bad about what he's done, so he decides to drive his car into a lake and kill himself. I don't know. Whatever. It was always my favorite ending of Silent Hill 2. So I was trying to get that
naturally. I never got that one.
I got it naturally the first time I ever played through Silent Hill 2, weirdly enough.
How do you get it? Do you remember?
No, I don't know. But like I looked up when I was playing through the game, I was playing through the like Xbox 360 Silent Hill HD collection version on my Xbox One through backward compatibility.
Gotcha.
So I was playing through that version, and like I said, I was trying to get the in-water ending, so I looked up on the internet like exactly what I had to do and all the steps I had to follow, and I still didn't get it. Like I just...
Hold up. So over a decade ago, you got it on your first playthrough.
2 decades ago.
Oh fuck, man!
I played it.
We're old men.
Yeah, I didn't play it on PS2, but not a launch title, but very shortly after the original Xbox came out. Like the original Xbox came out in like November 2001, and I think in like December 2001 they came out with Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams, which was Silent Hill 2, but it had an extra chapter.
Oh.
Where you played as Maria, the woman that's following him around.
Ooh, yeah. Things don't end well for her.
That was part of a time in the original Xbox's life cycle where Microsoft had a mandate where if a game was to be ported from another platform to the Xbox, it had to have exclusive content.
Additional content.
Yeah. It was a mandate in like the very early days of the original Xbox. So you got stuff like that. The like original Spider-Man movie game had like a bonus level on the original Xbox version and just stuff like that. Because it came out slightly after the PS2 version, so they're like, gotta have extra content.
So when you played Silent Hill 2 again, looking up a guide, you still didn't.
I wasn't able to get it, but I got it organically back in the day.
Wild.
Yeah. Wild. Speaking of wild, we got some wild beasts running about on planet Energon.
We really do.
We really do. This is episode 43 of Too Much Energon, and we're going to get into talking about this week's episode of Beast Wars in just a moment. But first, here's a word from our Patreon. Do you want to hear more Lasercomb content each week? Is one episode of Too Much Energon or Alphanumeric just not enough? Then subscribe to the Lasercomb Patreon, where starting at a mere $5 Canadian per month, you get exclusive bonus recordings of Christopher Siege, NeoCal, and AP Snidler shooting the shit, access to the Lasercomb Discord, monthly shoutouts, and more. Higher tiers include bonus video content, the ability to pitch future podcast content to us, a free t-shirt, and more. Support Too Much Energon and Alphanumeric by joining the Lasercomb Patreon today.
Dem curves, though.
Yep. So this week on Too Much Energon, we are reviewing the 9th episode of Season 3 of Beast Wars, Crossing the Rubicon. It originally aired on February 21st, 1999. It is the 48th episode of Beast Wars overall, and it was written by DC Fontana, who we've talked about before on various podcasts, because DC Fontana was one of the lead writers on the original Star Trek, the original series. She was a pretty prolific TV writer in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And she also wrote the greatest episode of Reboot we've seen thus far. Season 3 episode of Reboot. What was it? Where No Sprite Has Gone Before?
Yeah, she wrote that one. It was evident in the first 5 seconds, and it really doesn't let up.
Andrea's log. Yeah, we loved that episode of Reboot, so go check that out on our podcast, Alphanumeric. That episode's available now. Yeah, so
Crossing the Rubicon.
I feel really dumb, but I actually didn't know what crossing the Rubicon meant.
I don't know. Maybe I should have Googled it.
So the Rubicon, this is from the from tfwiki.net. The Rubicon is a river in Italy. During the Roman Republic era, it was illegal for a Roman general to have his army cross it, thus protecting Rome from a military threat. Julius Caesar crossed it and started the civil war, which would eventually lead to Rome switching from a republic to an empire. During this, he uttered some Latin bullshit, which it translates to, "The die is cast." Today, crossing the Rubicon is an idiom meaning to go past the point of no return.
A
clever title.
Caesar says some Caesar bullshit and did the unthinkable.
Yep.
Dreamed the undreamable.
He dared to dream.
Yeah.
And look where it got him. A knife in the torso. That's how Caesar died, right?
Just one knife. Well, sometimes it likes to make it seem like really dramatic, like everybody present stabbed him.
Yeah, he was like stabbed like in the middle of his, like, not court, but like
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Like
usurped. He was usurped. A2 Brute and all that.
Him and his homies were all assembled in a big room, and someone like stabbed him in the abdomen.
I like our review. Detailed, in-depth, perfect knowledge review of the demise of Julius Caesar. You come here for history lessons, folks. And like, I don't know, his like homies like stabbed him. One of them was named Brute or something. He was like supposed to be his best friend.
Rute or Wu-Tang?
A2 Wu-Tang.
Oh shit, he was stabbed in one of the 36 chambers.
Oh shit. Well, he lived fast and died hard.
He lived free and died hard with a vengeance.
With a vengeance. 2.
Anyway, so episode opens with Blackarachnia like out in the forest, setting up a stasis pod fashioned just like the one in Feral Scream that Megatron put used to make Dino Clone 2. And so she's got the transmetal driver, and
is that what that device is?
Yeah.
Okay, so admittedly, and yes, I watch these episodes week to week. We've never missed a fucking week. I forgot what the fuck that was.
Except for Christmas.
Well, yeah, it's Christmas. I forgot what that was. And I was like, what is that? Why does she have it? It kind of looks familiar. But like, I think, and I remembered us talking about it now that I'm thinking about it. We were like, when did Megatron get that? Like, remember, just off screen, he just had it in season 3, and we were like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's literally never explained.
So that would explain why I forgot what the fuck it was.
Yeah, it's never explained what the transmetal driver is, where it came from, how Megatron got it, how it functions.
And I bet you're wondering how I got this. And then he's like,
do you want to know? Do you want to know how I got these scars?
Do you remember the time that I was a ship? Remember when Megatron was a ship? That was a weird trip, huh? Same episode that Birdmom and Tigatron got
right
up.
the alien biodome, right.
He was a ship, and he was like, I'm all powerful now, and like his face came out of the side of the ship, and he like talked at them and like beamed them, and weird stuff.
It was weird. Yeah, so Blackarachnia is like doing some shit with the transmetal driver. Already, like in this scene, like you can put 2 and 2 together. She's trying to make herself a transmetal. They've been building up to it.
Oh, I've been waiting like so many episodes for this, man. Yeah.
You know what's purely by coincidence, a local toy store around here in Victoria, BC, on their Instagram account the other day posted a video where like they were just showing off, like they have a whole bunch of new like Transformers and Beast Wars figures, and they had Transmetal 2 Blackarachnia there. And I was very tempted to actually go pick it up today.
The one you have's better.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's there like sometime, like if it's there next time I go in, which who knows when that'll be, then maybe, but
if it's a reasonable price.
Yeah, I think it was like $50.
I don't think that's reasonable, man.
Well, it's also a toy I have no nostalgia for because I had already stopped buying toys by that point.
If Blackarachnia was like your favorite character and you wanted everything Blackarachnia, fine. But like $50 for, also, it's not her best form, in my opinion. Like it's not as good looking as her original form.
I like Transmetal 2 Blackarachnia, but
she's not horrendous. But original OG Blackarachnia is my favorite.
Like, I'm going to hold this up for the audio listeners. I'm going to hold up a figure of Beast Wars Cyber Shark. I bought this at that same toy store, I think for $45. But this is a toy that I had back, Beast Wars toy that I had back in the day, and it was one of my favorites.
He's boss. Cyber Shark's not on the show.
No, he's not.
It's a shame. I would have loved Cyber Shark instead of Depth Charge.
Yes, right. There was even a Transmetal Cyber Shark, and it's like, man, you could have just made Transmetal Cyber Shark like Depth Charge.
Yeah, and Depth Charge can fly in his manta ray form. So what's wrong with a shark flying?
I think Transmetal Cyber Shark could actually fly, at least in the he wasn't in the show, but like in the, I think in the like the stats card or whatever on the back of the packaging, it's like he can fly.
Also,
he thinks happy thoughts.
The Maximals deserve an Inferno like character on their team, right?
Just an insane
super aggro.
Yeah,
why not? To fill in the aggression gap that Dinobot left.
So Blackarachnia is like doing some shit and like lightning striking and whatever, and
Silverbolt gets like an energy reading.
yeah, Vector 010, and Silverbolt swoops in and sees this going on. Blackarachnia is like, "Hit me with your best shot," and
Gets electrocuted.
Gets electrocuted with like purple lasers or whatever, and Silverbolt's like, Blackarachnia, my beloved,
lady, my beloved,
and he like charges toward and interrupts the whole process, fucks everything up, and they both get blasted back, and Blackarachnia is like, basically like, you fucking idiot, like you just ruined my plans. Well, actually, what she says is, you ruined a full decacycles worth of work. Oh, all right, folks. Here it is again. This the latest edition of on this week's episode of Too Much Energon. It's the latest edition of What's That Cycle Mean? What's that cycle, indeed?
Okay, so a decacycle.
Okay. I mean,
seems to be about 10 days.
Okay.
But that is...
Because they've only been on planet Energon for 48 weeks now.
It's 10 days, but it's mentioned in the original, in OG Transformers. About specifically how long.
Okay.
So it's about...
I mean,
what else are they doing on the show? Who cares? It's 10 days.
I was going to say, like, I mean, that's annoying, and that would piss me off, but it's like, it's not like you can't, like, there's no coming back from that. It's like, okay,
they didn't destroy the artifact.
Yeah.
Like, it's still there. Maybe it destroyed the pod, and they have a limited amount of them. Maybe, but don't they have like 4 of them? I don't know.
I don't know. Those things are everywhere. But yeah. I guess like the Axelon had a like complete like cargo hold full of like unused like empty stasis pods, but the Axelon's like at the bottom of the river now.
Yeah.
So maybe they are in short supply. Who knows?
Also, I think Silverbolt made the sorry, I'm getting some dust allergies here. I get dust allergies, and one of the weird side effects of them is like, other than eyes watering, is like feeling like I need to yawn. I don't know how to describe it. So like I'll be like indoors, right? And if it's like stuffy and like people will be talking to me and it'll be like 3 p.m. and I'll just be like yawning and they're like, am I that boring, man? And I'm like, I can be doing anything, watching a movie, like jogging, like whatever. And if my allergies are like going off, it's like a weird feeling like I don't get enough oxygen. So
there was one episode of the podcast like maybe 2 months ago where you were yawning throughout it. And when I was like listening to it, like I didn't really notice while we were doing the show, but when I was listening to it like a week or so later, I was like, wow, was he like just bored through this episode?
It's just something that happens and I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Hate it. I used to work in hospitality industry, and stuffy old hotel kind of gets dusty sometimes, and a guest would be like talking to me and I'm just like, yeah, I can help with that. Yeah, just yawning all the time, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, you're not boring. I hate it so much because I actually like this episode. I'm not bored talking about it by any means.
I just had a late night, you know.
I really didn't. Like I slept like a long ass time. So where were we? Silverbolt like saves Blackarachnia. I think he made the right call, because in the scene where they're lying on the ground like recovering, she's like half melted and scorched.
Yeah.
Like she's not in good shape. So if he hadn't come along, maybe she'd just be dead.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. And yeah, she like complains about the fact that like she's still the same old her, and Silverbolt's like, "What were you doing, lady?" And she explains that like she's trying to make herself a trans metal because like, well, if Megatron,
She desires power.
Yeah, she desires power, and if Megatron can do it, why can't I? And then she like shorts out, and he's all like, "My lady,
My fairest of loves, deepest of roots,
Yeah, she shorts out and faints, and
thorniest of roses." So something's wrong with her because she's
corniest of phrases. Yeah, so something's wrong with
I
her.
don't hate Silverbolt. Christopher is
He's a well-beloved character. I'm
just not one
a
of
fan.
his fans.
No, and I've talked about it on the show before, but yeah, I'm not Team Silverbolt, if you will.
I was team Tigatron. But like, where's my homie at? Fuck.
Yeah.
Anybody like tuning in that hasn't been following us like for every episode of Too Much Energon, like this is the first time from beginning to end I've gone through. So I like genuinely don't know if that's ever explained or if Bird Mom and Tigerbot are just fucking gone forever. It's distressing. It bothers me. Why would they move two of the most interesting Maximals off of the show?
You know what? I was actually thinking this when I was watching, because I've watched this episode twice now, as I usually do. I usually watch like the episode of the week. I usually watch it on like we record on Thursdays, which is when these episodes go live, late Thursdays. I usually watch the episode on Monday, and then I'll watch it again on Thursday, just before we start recording. Yeah, so I've watched this episode. Yeah, so just to make sure I've got everything down. And I was thinking earlier that I think one of the biggest failings of season 2 and 3 of this show is they got rid of most of the interesting characters, and the ones that they replaced them with just aren't nearly as great. Like Scorponok and Pterosaur, fucking great. They get rid of them. Who do they replace them with? Quick Strike. What in tarnation, indeed.
Listeners know that like Quick Strike is easily, without needing to think about it, my least favorite character. He's so uninteresting.
They get rid of Tigatron and Air Razor, and like then they kill off Dinobot, and like who do they all get replaced with? Fucking Depth Charge.
Like we're not great fans of Depth Charge.
No, not at all. And yeah, I think that's the biggest issue that I'm having with seasons 2 and 3 is they got rid of some of the best characters and replace them with characters that come up short, especially in comparison.
Yeah. In comparison, definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. Like the care for... So Rampage is okay. Rampage's story and his psychopathy, I'm more interested in. I want him to get revenge on Megatron, right? He's a weird, interesting, like supervillain being controlled by another supervillain.
Yeah.
In a way, right? But we don't see him plotting, and we don't get many Rampage episodes.
No. He has a line in this episode that made me laugh. I'll point it out.
Might be the one there was who is that weird, like non-animal alien transmetal?
Oh, transmutate.
That was a trip. I think we both liked that one.
Oh yeah. That episode got a Too Much Energon from both of us.
And Rampage's involvement in it and his hard projecting, like I wanted more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rampage has been an okay addition.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I didn't
Depth
like
charge.
Rampage at first because like at first he was kind of just, another like Inferno, like
Inferno
another just
2.0.
yeah, just another like bleh, bleh.
You will burn.
Yeah, he was just another like kind of insane screaming wacko. But
Just a little more powerful. Yeah.
yeah, just like way bigger and way stronger. But he very quickly got more interesting, like within like an episode or two.
And the story therein implies that like Optimus Primal isn't completely innocent. Because for a brief like 4-second flashback, it shows like Optimus being involved.
Yeah,
in
until now,
Project
like
X.
we've always like Optimus has always been depicted as being kind of an altruistic character. And it's like, I'd like to know more about this because maybe he isn't as squeaky clean as we've been led to believe.
Mm-hmm. And the secret mission of the Axelon.
Yeah.
Is to ditch. Like his crew didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But it was to ditch X on a planet.
Well, I think I got the impression that Rhinox knew.
Right. We talked about that.
Yeah. Because like when Cheetor was like, "Oh, there's a big ass stasis pod and it has a big bad looking X on it," and Rhinox was like, "Oh," or he was like, "Primus, help us if that thing survived." So he knew what was up.
Right. Yeah. But the others didn't.
No.
But yeah, like depth charge. Initially, it's like, oh, a bounty hunter that's like chasing him. Oh no, he's getting revenge. I'm like, good setup. And he's water based. Oh, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Wasn't as cool as I thought it would be.
Wasted.
I don't even have a problem with Manta Ray face. I mean, it's eerie when he talks, but I don't have a problem with it. Don't have a problem with the way it looks.
I have a problem when he is like spitting discs out of it, being like blip, 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 blip,
like a fish spitting pebbles.
Yeah. It's fucking weird, and I don't like it.
Weird, and we don't like it.
No.
So crossing the Rubicon.
So they're back at Arc Mountain, and Blackarachnia is getting examined.
And Primal's giving her shit
by the Maximals, and basically Rhinox says that her Predacon shell program is infecting her maximal core.
Yeah.
So I guess like when she got hit with that surge from the transmetal driver, I guess it like fucked something up.
Because it wasn't a natural process?
Yeah.
Fucked something up in her, and she's gonna keep having these like energon seizures until she goes.
Yeah, energon seizures. Yeah, until she like goes insane. Eventually, Rhinox says that eventually she'll go insane, and then will basically just turn into a blank. And he's
just potato. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the only solution is to Rhinox is like, well, I could try just removing the shell program. The problem is it's never been done before. And Blackarachnia is like, oh great. Either I'm drooling oil for the rest of my life, or I'm a maximal.
Either she's a vegetable or
yeah.
This is interesting because like they had mentioned on the show taking out her shell program and restoring her to a maximal.
Yeah.
But she was like, it's dangerous, so I don't want to do it. And now they're in the position where they have to.
Yeah. And she seems a lot more willing now.
Continuity. Well, yeah, she's more willing because the alternative
is like in a slow is like a slow descent into madness and then death.
Yeah.
So
doesn't
have much of a choice. Yeah.
It's never been done before.
Yeah, and Optimus is like grilling her like, where did you get the transmetal driver anyway? And she's like, I kind of borrowed it. Yeah.
Who had it? Megatron, right?
No, Depth Charge had it. Remember, because Depth Charge got it, and then he just like was like, "Huh, well, whatever," and like tosses it over his shoulder,
Tossed it
off
into
a cliff
the
into the
lava.
lava. Like
And
the
she was
fucking
like, time to defy
stupidest thing ever.
gravity.
Yeah.
And
And she all just like Spider-Man's down to like to retrieve it.
she falls faster than gravity.
Right. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember this now.
right. And he got it from how did Depth Charge get it?
When the thing that like the device on Frankenstein's ridge, Dr. Frankenstein's ridge, when the
Gotcha.
device like
Yeah.
the device exploded because Cheetor like ended up flying into the like energy beam, and then like that shorted him out and it caused the whole device to explode. And the transmetal
That was
driver, I
the
think,
artifact.
yeah, the transmetal driver kind of just like landed in front of Depth Charge.
And he's just like, I'll take this.
Yeah.
So instead of handing it over to the Maximals and being like, hey, what do you guys think? He's like, no good can come of this. And he tosses it into the lava. Right. Okay.
Well, no one needs this piece of trash.
Yeah. I think he knew it was powerful, but he was like, you know what? This isn't for us. And so privately made the decision that it's better off destroyed.
Maybe, but it's not played that way in the episode.
Oh, it's not. He's just like,
Yeah.
This is useless.
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
yeah, where are we?
So the reason this has never been done is because Predacons and Maximals are separate bots. They're separate beings.
Yeah.
Planet Energon is weird because all of the new Predacons that aren't part of the initial ship crew are converted Maximals.
Yeah.
So that's why this is all weird and it's never been done. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the situation here with creating new Predacon soldiers out of maximal protoforms, like that's just something out of necessity. Like that's not really a thing like back on Cybertron that they're gonna need to do. It's like if they need new Predacons, they'll just make new Predacons.
Yeah.
New Predacon protoforms.
A boy Predacon and a girl Predacon mate, and they lay a solid Predacon cube, and that hatches. But I don't know. Apparently, there weren't even male and females. Cybertronians emulated gender from like a race they met.
Yes.
Yeah, so they just make new ones. But I don't know the processes of it. I assume it's like very energy intensive.
I've gone over this, I think, on a previous episode of the podcast. I talked about this on Reddit as well, and like a lot of people liked my idea. I think like how lineage works, at least like the subject of lineage anyway, works in the world of Transformers is basically like when sparks are extinguished, they rejoin the Matrix, and when new sparks are created, bits of energies from various different sparks are taken and compiled into a new spark. And then so that new spark can have like the energy of parts of the energy of like say Optimus Prime spark and like I don't know,
which is how you get Optimus Primal or Megatron
being descendants,
descendants, your parts of multiple energies.
Yeah,
it's like a reincarnate. It matches the show. Like, spirits are real. Reincarnation is real, right? Yeah. I remember you telling me that now, and that's a Christopher theory.
It is, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a great one to post on Reddit. I'm a big fan of that, and it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like it. Wonder who Silverbolt's a descendant of.
Jetfire. I'm just
Yeah,
throwing that out there.
at least some Jetfire. I can see that. Yeah, I like it. Jetfire and someone else more boring. I don't know. Somebody else noble. Maybe a little Ultra Magnus.
Maybe, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. In the way that Ultra Magnus is kind of gullible. in a hopeful way. Hopeful. I'll say hopeful. There we go.
In a idealistic way.
Idealistic. There we go. Thank you. I want to like Ultra Magnus so bad, but he's makes a lot of mistakes. Anyways,
we'll get to that down the road soon, on this podcast. Soon.
So there's a romance scene between Silverbolt and Blackarachnia.
Yeah, and it's kind of
like their relationship, but it's the same.
It's the same old shit. Like she's like, I like being a bad girl, and he's like, but you're only bad. You're a good girl. You're only bad because of Tarantulas' Predacon shell programming. I see the goodness in your heart. And it's like it's the same kind of shit that we've seen in like half a dozen episodes already.
He likes bad girls. He just don't want to admit it.
Yeah. He likes the girls in the leather jackets with the studded collars and
little step on him. Smack him around a little bit.
Wearing 3 inches of blood, cut off crop top t-shirts.
Yeah, you know what's up. Yeah. Got attitude. Piercing.
One side of her head is shaved, and she's got like a couple eyebrow piercings and like a nose piercing, and
keep going.
Bunch of tattoos like running. I'm just describing like chicks that I like.
I thought you were describing it because I was like,
this is like human. This is like what Blackarachnia would look like as a human. She would have like dangly earrings that have spider webs.
Yeah, subtle, maybe smaller ones. She'd have to know martial arts because Blackarachnia kicks butt.
Yeah, man, I wish I could draw. I wish I could draw better than I could because like I would want to draw this fan art. Just like human Blackarachnia.
I'm getting back into art. I'm not great at it, but my partner could definitely do that.
Sweet.
If they wanted. I wish I had the motivation. My mood fluctuates and I'm like, I'm gonna draw tomorrow, and then like tomorrow comes, and then the next day comes, and then the next day, and then I never do it.
Yeah, I know those feels.
Yeah.
One thing actually doing these shows has been like really good for me is like accountability and like making me actually like make sure that I get shit done.
When I have responsibilities, I'm like right on that fucking shit. But if it's like something I should do for myself in free time,
yeah,
never.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, when there's like some social obligation, I do it. I stick to it. It's bizarre, right? Like work, running a game, doing the podcast, like whatever. It's easy. But then it's like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to. This time I swear I'm going to do my taxes. Yeah, but the next day, this day, okay, the next day,
and then the next day,
and then the next day,
and then you're 5 years behind on your taxes.
And the IRS is knocking on your door. But because you're poor, you can't milk a stone.
but because we are Canadian, they're like, wait, wrong address. Cheers.
Oops. Wrong country.
So we have the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency.
Much less intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
Much less.
The worst that they do is like, if they're really mad at you, they garnish your wages. They don't throw you in jail for fucking anything.
Bizarre. It's like the best way to get money out of this person. Let's throw them in jail.
Yeah, right. Throw them in jail for 5 years, and then and by the time they're out, their tax debt would be erased from their credit report anyway. Yeah.
Oh, Canada. So where are we at
True
now?
patriot love. So
for all thy sons, all of our hot topic I just stumbled onto. I forgot about the lyric change.
Our dumb national anthem.
Do you remember the lyric change?
No.
It was in all thy sons command, right? Talking about all the men that have died in World War I and II.
Okay.
Boy, oh boy, did a lot of people have a problem with changing that to in all of our command to be non-gender. There's some valid arguments against that I initially was like, oh, it's fine. And that people had brought up with me. And I was like, oh, okay, I see your point. But that's for our Canadian podcast.
Yes.
About a Canadian history podcast.
About 72% of our listeners are American. So they're like, I don't even know any lyrics. I don't even know the Canadian national anthem, guys.
It's kind of slow and boring, but it's short. So it's okay.
Yeah. I'm actually a big fan of the American national anthem. I think it's
something you can play rock music in the background.
Totally, yeah. Like the American, like the Star Spangled Banner is actually a pretty banging national anthem.
Right. Fucking slaps, man.
That shit slaps.
A good thing to like march troops to is like the Russian national anthem.
Yeah, totally.
Good thing to play Command and Conquer too.
Yeah. Red Alert.
Yeah. Red Alert 2. Play that with the Russian national anthem in the background.
So back at the maximal base, Blackarachnia is strapped in, and they're about.
Yeah, her time's ticking, and I forgot about the data she has.
Yeah, we're coming up to that. One line that I like here is, I think it's Optimus is like, "How do you feel?" And she's like a spider that just got squashed by an energon bomb.
A spider that just got squashed by an energon bomb. Well, it's not as deadly as
someone playing squash the spider with an energon bomb. There it is.
Okay. They're going really far out there.
Yeah.
Cybertronian talk, you know?
Yeah. So they're about to do the whole procedure, and she decides to upload the arcs, like command codes and whatever, into Optimus Primal's data tracks, just in case she dies.
Was the only one with that because she recorded all of the golden disc data. Is that how she got the arc stuff?
Yep.
Or did she get additional information in the arc? No, it's all from the golden discs.
Yeah.
So she transfers that data to Optimus?
It was in the golden disc, which were then destroyed, but there was a copy in Megatron's personal files, which she then uploaded into her data tracks, and then she destroyed his personal files.
Makes me wonder why Megatron didn't personally download
or didn't have a copy somewhere, like a flash drive lying
around.
USB
somewhere. Yeah. A 3.5-inch floppy.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Please, this is the 24th century. Yes, I have a CD. We use CD-ROMs. You knew where I was going with that.
He had the CD-ROM like disk drive.
Yeah, he's got like the weird like CD player on his dick laser.
I almost forgot about that. It's like modular. He can like put in like 8 tracks too.
Yeah.
So you know what? Good
But
on
not
Blackarachnia.
VCDs, no. Only players in Southeast Asia are compatible with those. Cheers.
I don't even know what that is.
A VCD.
No,
I used to own Ghost in the Shell on VCD back in the early 2000s.
I don't even know what that is.
It is literally a CD with... It is a CD... Instead of having audio on it, it has video. And... It basically functions like a DVD, but it's like still has the same space limitations of a CD-ROM. So like a movie would be on like 2 discs all the time, 2 or 3
Okay,
discs. Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah.
and the video quality wasn't nearly as good. The reason why I had movies on VCD was because I was really into Dreamcast hacking back in the early 2000s, and you could hack the there was all kinds of like custom brew software for Dreamcast back in the day, and one of them was like a VCD player, like a boot disc so the Dreamcast could play VCDs. And so I had like Ghost in the Shell and like a
Amazing.
handful of other movies that I like straight up just like bought on eBay and imported.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Old school hacking. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a nerd.
That's rad. Yeah, I had no idea.
Um,
VCDs.
Yeah. So she uploads the shit to Optimus's head, and
I just want to say, good on her. She did that unprompted. Like,
yeah, and
Optimus wasn't like, "Hey, you should give me the codes just in case you die."
Yeah, it is like it's kind of a noble thing too, because like she's handing over access to the Arc systems to Optimus in case she dies.
That doesn't help her. So
no, it helps them.
Proves that she's not completely selfish. She pretends she is, right?
Yeah.
But she's only doing it in case she dies. But if she was completely selfish, right? She wouldn't give a shit. If she's dead, she's dead.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed, and I really like that gesture.
Yeah, same. And Rat Trap says some Rat Trap
bullshit, and everybody punches him. Yeah.
Basically.
Tells him to shut up.
And yeah, they put her in the device, and this thing like
kind of rad.
Yeah. She's in this like cylindrical chamber. Kind of looks like a big cog.
Yeah, that she's like strapped into on the wall.
Yeah.
I want to say the voice actress and the lines written for Blackarachnia here. Good job. Like,
agreed. Yeah.
She's still Blackarachnia. She's still sassy and everything, but she's really relatable. Like, she says when she goes into this like giant magnetized like death machine thing, which is going to be trippy. We'll talk about it in a bit. She's like, "See you soon, boys, if you're lucky." Mm-hmm. And that's a very, I like that line.
Yeah, it's got some sass to it.
Yeah, and then we find out what the operation actually is Rhinox's fantastic voyage.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was watching this the other day. When I was watching this the other day, I'm like, man, Mainframe really likes the movie Fantastic Voyage. Because this is the second Fantastic Voyage episode they've done. Because they did a Fantastic Voyage episode of Reboot as well.
That was unashamed, like unapologetically Fantastic Voyage. This is a little, Beast Wars twist on it.
Yeah.
What I thought it was going to be was kind of like a spiritual, like, thing that we've seen before when the Maximals have been dreaming, or like when Cheetor had to plug in to the pod for Air Razor.
Yeah.
Or to Rhinox. He had to give something to Rhinox or something, right? He like entered like a dreamscape with Rhinox's subconscious. I thought it was going to be can you remind me? What
Rhinox, he went into sleep mode so Rhinox could remove his locking chip. And while he was
Right.
dreaming, he had this vision quest about what a spark
Right,
was,
right.
and Rhinox was there.
Oh yeah, he has like he's had like 3 vision quests.
Yeah.
And we've even talked about on the show how like he's like Cheetor is a little clairvoyant. Like he has prophetic dreams.
Well, and indeed, this season, apparently now he has cheetah sense too.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, his spark in his left hip just sounds off, and he's like, "Huh, danger!" It's like
my cheetah sense is tingling.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what? What is this? Will we find out? No, I don't think we will. Will we even see it again? No, probably not.
What like turned him into like a werecat? Was it when he like touched the orb?
The Transmetal 2 driver. Yeah.
When he touched it and he had like weird dreams and transformed at night, right.
Yeah, it was when he like crashed into the energy beam on the like Frankenstein's ridge.
Yeah, that's it. So it's affected. So you know what? To give Blackarachnia credit, the energy of this artifact has affected Cheetor accidentally with good results. So it makes sense if she experimented and messed around with it that it might be able to change her for the better.
Well, and it was used to create
Dinobot Clone 2.
Yeah. Dino Clone 2, Electric Clonaroo.
That's the best better than I can think of. Something weird ass happens.
Electric Sparkaroo.
Oh, there we go. So like an Atari game or like an arcade game, a green laser gets shot into Blackarachnia's chest and he puts her in lockdown mode.
Yeah.
And
he sends a probe into her, and the probe goes all Fantastic Voyage, and it flies around, and
it's like literally a little submarine with lasers.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see the Predacon shell program, which kind of just looks like
a parasitic heart.
Yeah.
With like webs, electron, energon, like nerve.
Like neurons.
Yeah, it's there's organic looking tendrils that attach this to their core.
Yeah.
So it's kind of parasitic. It's cool looking though. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it's very much more than anything else in this show thus far, like this is very it's very 90s computer shit looking.
It's a good way to describe it. Yeah, this is tech demo.
Yeah.
So what's Rhinox doing in here? He's like shooting and severing these nerves.
Yeah. Destroying them one by one. And Tarantulas gets in his lair,
computer warning.
Gets a computer alert saying that shell program T-70 is in jeopardy. And he's like, Blackarachnia! And he radios Megatron, who is chilling out in his Energon jacuzzi with Ducky.
He says something to Tarantulas when he's chilling in the vid window. He says, Lieutenant, what news do you bring? And I'm like, was Tarantulas always a lieutenant?
Well, we found out in the agenda that he is a lieutenant in the Predacon's secret police, remember?
Interesting that Megatron would acknowledge that. But there's a lot that we were like when we were like, why is Tarantulas back?
Yeah.
But you had come to the conclusion that when he saw Megatron's true intentions and his loyalty to
G1
the
Megatron.
Decepticons,
the
G1 Megatron, that changed everything because Tarantulas was a loyalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so he's kept his lieutenant status.
You kind of like the show doesn't really go out of its way to explain it, so you have to kind of connect the dots
Fill in
yourself.
the gaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with that answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
It also brings Tarantulas back into the fold.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird him just being off on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, but limiting.
So they exchange some dialogue. Tarantulas tells Megatron that the Maximals are trying to remove Blackarachnia's Predacon shell program. And Megatron's like, impossible! They would never, unless they've transferred the Ark's access codes to Optimus Primal.
I just want to say, I think that those are like gigabrain like conclusions to make.
Yeah, so when he said
I like that.
When Megatron said they would never, what I thought he was going to say was they would never like risk potentially destroying one of their own. But no, he doesn't say that. No, what he says is like, oh, they would never risk like losing the Ark's access codes.
I think that conclusion is wrong. Sorry, he came to the correct conclusion the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when a teacher says, "Oh, please show your work when you do the math." But you never do, but you still know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was me
it's
in
kind
school.
of like that. Me too. It's kind of like that. He's like, "Oh, they'd never risk losing the access codes. So they must have transferred the codes beforehand. And who would they most likely transfer them to? Primal." And I'm like, you came to the right conclusion, but the way you got there was not correct.
And then Megatron says the line, which fits in nicely with our little plan for him.
Huh.
So stay tuned to find out what that is.
I love Megatron's schemes.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like this Megatron is a lot more less ambitious, more clever than G1 Megatron.
I think he's ambitious. He's just more
stuck on a planet.
Yeah. He's also
more ambitious can you get here?
He's more subtle and
nuanced, subterfuge.
Nuanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like G1 Megatron is like
very straightforward.
We'll attack an Autobot shuttle and fly it to Autobot City past their defenses, and then destroy Autobot City, and the Autobots will be vanquished forever.
Once and for all.
I know that was an absolutely atrocious G1 Megatron impression. I apologize to everyone. But yeah, like
Dear
that's
Christopher Siege, you piece of how dare you insult the memory of
Dear Christopher Siege, how dare you insult the memory of G1 Megatron? I will have you know G1 Megatron is a brilliant tactician and a genius. And
your impression didn't even sound like...
Your impression is an insult to everything G1 Megatron and indeed Transformers as a property stands for. You are not a real Transformers fan. So I would say I am not listening to your podcast anymore, and I'm giving it a 1-star rating on iTunes and Google Podcasts and Amazon Podcast. I don't even listen to those services, but I will make a point.
I'm signing up just to 1-star you.
Just to 1-star you. And also, I would just like to say you have bad teeth. Signed. Fuck you.
I say good day.
I say good day to you, sir. I would
And then
say
you're blocked.
I would say good day to you, sir, but I don't want you to have a good day.
Fuck. I think that's one of your favorite monologues. Like that was too perfect. I have read some cringy superfan complaints, and you're like insufferable nerd voice is like I think my favorite
Nice.
nerd like geek voice.
Yeah. I just had
It's
to
like
throw
a little bit more nasally and an annoying comic book guy.
Yeah. I've known many of those types over the years.
Oh man, especially in like the circles, like and the gatekeeping that.
Yeah. Impossible.
It's more likely than you think.
Is such a thing even possible?
Yes, it is. It's probably a good random outro or intro. Wait, Megatron is a squeak toy?
Yeah, he's
Oh, it's his rubber
ducky.
ducky.
Yeah.
Right. Cybertronian rubber ducky.
So Rhinox figures out on his fantastic voyage that Tarantulas has installed like some kind of like safety protocols, which Tarantula in the previous scene, Tarantulas told Megatron about that there were safeguards in place.
It's like a auto kill function.
Yeah, basically.
So if anyone tampers with it,
it
kills Blackarachnia.
Yeah, it like fries her maximal core, basically.
Fuck you, Tarantulas.
I mean,
it's a very Tarantulas move.
Well, it's also like it's a good idea, really. Like you don't want her to or not necessarily her in particular, but like you don't
any
want
of the converted Maximals.
You don't want them to acquire like all kinds of like tactical information about the Predacons, if the Predacons actually have fucking tactics. They have the Predacon maneuver, which they bust out in the next scene, which is hide behind rock and shoot.
Yeah.
It's like the Maximal maneuver, but with guns.
Yeah.
It's
more offensive than defensive.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it makes sense because like you don't want them to like have like the Predacon secrets basically, and then remove their Predacon shell program and then take all those secrets back to the enemy. So
like the layout of the base that both Cheetor and Rat Trap have memorized.
Yep, that they can just bring out a like wireframe model of at the dinner table whenever they want.
Because they've been into the base like 6 times. Oh, sorry, Optimus too.
Yeah.
I forgot he rampaged through the base. Who hasn't? Rhinox was a Predacon? Is everyone present completely familiar with the dark side? Blackarachnia, Rhinox, Rat Trap, Cheetor,
yes.
Optimus. Depth charge is the only.
Yeah, and where the fuck is he in all of this? Is he even in this episode? No, he isn't. Thank God.
He's off doing depth charge things. Thank God. He's off writing like slam poetry about Rampage.
Oh fuck, probably.
Yeah, so they're all completely familiar with the dark side. So I think it's funny that it's like, oh, to cover up like Predacon secrets. And I'm like, what? What Predacon secrets?
Hey, that's just my.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you. But like you said, like what tactics?
Yeah.
What secrets do they have? Like Megatron doesn't even share his intentions with anyone save Inferno.
Yeah.
He lets Inferno in on some details. That's because he's stupidly loyal.
Yeah.
It's like a stupider, less scientific Scorponok. So,
But he makes people burn.
That's true, and he can fly.
Yeah.
Checkmate, I guess.
So the
he makes
Predacon
people burn. Never does it once. Oh, he's done it once.
to himself.
Oh, then he's done it twice. He's made himself burn, and he's burned tarantulas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, not bad. No Maximals though. So why are the Predacons like assaulting Arc Mountain?
So they're attacking Arc Mountain, and Optimus actually points it out. Actually mentions, because Rat Trap is like, man, it seems like they're just shooting at the air. Like they're just shooting at the walls. Like they're not even really trying to attack. And Megatron, Optimus is like, they're trying to like weaken our power. Like they're trying to,
right?
Yeah,
specifically disrupt the power, because thus they must know that they're doing something that requires a lot of energy. So he draws the conclusion they're trying to fuck with the procedure. Right?
Tarantulas got word that the Maximals are fucking with the shell program, and he told Megatron about it. So Megatron sent the Predacons over to Arc Mountain to fuck with the proceedings. And
so
Optimus even says they must know what we're doing somehow.
I just read that part. Yeah. So he turns to Silverbolt. Rhinox turns to Silverbolt, and he's like, "We have to keep the system stable. So try to keep the power levels up." Is this some Star Trek bullshit?
No, this is totally some Star Trek shit in this scene.
Like moving power from one part of the base to another is like the most Star Trek shit like ever. I'm like, what is Silverbolt gonna do? Shouldn't he go out? Isn't the most effective way to help right now send everyone else out to fight the Predacons off? But no, he's like on a terminal.
Well, Rhinox is busy like controlling the probe, and he needs someone to like make sure the power levels stay stable.
Star Trek.
Stay stable.
Yeah,
I don't know why that was so difficult to say.
Your favorite female wrestler from the WWE.
Also the favorite of Bork Laser. Cheers.
There you go. So it's like the engineering department, like moving energy levels around.
Yeah.
Silverbolt's on a terminal,
divert auxiliary power from it's very, and indeed, like this episode was written by an OG Star Trek writer. So
I kind of like that, and
so do I.
Good episode, and it makes sense because they're using the power of a little bit of the power of the Arc, aren't they? Or am I mistaken?
They are. It's a neat throwback to Star Trek without opening an episode being like Andrea's log and having like a character like straight up do like a really bad, or have like a character voiced by Cheetor doing a really bad William Shatner impression.
We're talking about a specific
episode of Reboot that was also written by DC Fontana.
So when there are natural references to other series, other TV shows, it's fine. I like it. Other people like it. When it's painful and characters go out of their way to do things that they wouldn't do, and it's just hammered in your face like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's like, yes, we get it. There's like 500 Star Trek references in one episode of Reboot, and it is unbearable. It's not even an episode of Reboot. It's a bad episode of the original series.
A very bad episode.
Yeah, not even a decent episode of the original.
It's a bad episode of the original series meets City of Heroes.
That is literally how we described it. So you want to hear us bitch about City of Heroes, Star Trunk.
Yeah, check that episode of Alpha Numeric.
Check out Alpha Numeric.
Let's all right, let's
move this on.
Let's pick this up a bit.
So Rhinox is having some trouble because go ahead.
Quick thing I will point out is Optimus is like, we've got to go out there and fight them, and he says Optimus Primal maximize and turns into his stupid little jet when he says it.
Yeah, that's
like the depth charge shit. So like
he doesn't say beast mode, but he doesn't have a beast mode. Wait, yes he
does. Okay, so yeah.
Optimus.
Well, and before he's turned into that dumb looking jet and his said flight mode.
Maximize is supposed to turn you into your robot form.
Yes. That has been the way of things
for
over two episodes of this, 2 seasons of this show. And all of a sudden in season 3, it's like we're just throwing the rules out of the activation codes out the window.
Maximize sometimes turns you into your flight mode or manta ray mode or jet mode or whatever.
I don't like it. It pisses me off.
This is a simple rule to follow.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't like it. It pisses me off.
Man, it pisses me off.
Nerds, but it's come on. Keep the continuity, guys. So what happens inside?
When you say maximize, you're supposed to go into your gosh darn robot mode. That's what you're supposed to do. It's real simple.
It ain't hard. You got your beast mode and you got your maximize. You're either a cheetah or you're a robot.
You got your maximize and you got your terrorize.
And
when you say those words, you turn from your beast mode into your robot mode. Not the other way around. That's not the way we do things around here. No, sir.
No, sir. Look at us now. Now we're just throwing all them rules out. Why even have a beast mode at all?
What's next? A beast mode? Like you're going to go from one beast mode to the next? Like
what's next? A combat mode? A flat mode?
Why even have a beast mode at all? You just turn from one robot form into another.
You might as well just say maximize or terrorize for every single mode. Beast mode a la mode with a side of ice cream. When I transform my truck and take the hitch down to have a barbecue out in the field, am I maximizing my truck now?
Oh,
sorry, listeners, we're done.
This
is a good episode. Usually,
no, it is a good episode.
But it's a bad episode.
I was going for some subtle social commentary with what I was saying. I was alluding to something. Some real world issues.
I just ran with your Southern thing and.
But yes, anyway, all right. That's
so. While Rhinox is in the heart of darkness,
nice.
He's having to fight these little, like sparks that move up the nerves as he's destroying the nerves, and he needs to shoot them before they reach like the core, the maximal core, presumably knocking Blackarachnia offline. And it normally just sends one out, but it releases 2 at once.
Mm-hmm.
Increases the difficulty as you start destroying more nerves. And part of me is like, shouldn't he just destroy the nerve that those 2 sparks were on? Or maybe it doesn't work like that. I'm nitpicking. Anyways, it's bad news bears, but he gets one and he almost gets the other.
And
there's a reason he misses the second little sabotage spark. Tarantulas pulls out like a giant bazooka, as if he knew like Rhinox was in there. There's like little joysticks.
He just knew exactly when to shoot for dramatic effect.
Jostle the base.
Yeah.
And he pulls out this huge Acme like rocket launcher and comically gets flown backwards as he shoots it. And
actually, this bazooka is kind of badass looking.
It looks
On the tip of on the very tip of the missile, it has a no maximal symbol. It has a maximal symbol with like
the Ghostbusters thing, but
Yeah.
with the maximal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have noticed that if I didn't rewind. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It has a sight on it, like an aperture sight, and I'm like, I think you just aim at a generic large area and shoot this thing, don't you? But maybe it has tracking of some sort. I don't know Tarantulas' weapons. And yeah, this giant comical rocket jostles Rhinox when he's inside Blackarachnia. And
Bow chicka bow wow.
the sometimes I just make faces and it's enough. You know what? I wonder. I react like my reactions a lot of the time are like nonverbal. Audio listeners must just think I go awkwardly silent.
Yeah.
at certain points, but if you go and watch us on YouTube, I assure you, I'm flailing around like a Muppet half of the time.
Yeah.
Mostly like Kermit. Anyways,
that actually made me think of something I got to mention off air in regards to something that we talked about on the outtakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Remind you, I'll probably forget. So, what happened here?
So will I.
Mission failed.
Yeah, Fission mailed one of the there's the Metal Gear reference for this episode.
Everybody gets one.
Yeah, Fission mailed the energy thing, like goes into Blackarachnia's core and
flatline sound.
Flatlines. She did. And Silverbolt looks really sad, but then he looks really angry, and we hear a bitchin' guitar riff as he like clenches his fist and like his face turns to anger. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm like so on board for like revenge spree Silverbolt.
That would move him from like the kind, because you probably think he's like very one-dimensional or like boring, right?
Kinda, yeah.
I kind of like him. I like him a little bit more than you, but I was so on board for like the Punisher Silverbolt edition.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, please. I mean, I like that Blackarachnia actually is reborn. Reborn.
She lives.
She
comes back.
But I wanted Punisher Silverbolt. Like I wanted him to just start executing like Predacons that he beats. I mean, he never beats any, but maybe badass Silverbolt does.
So the Predacons withdraw, and Rat Trap is like, yeah, we kick their ass. And Optimus is like, no, something's wrong. And Rhinox comes out and is like, yeah, Blackarachnia is dead, basically.
And they all kind of have a mini, just like when they thought Rat Trap was dead in season 1, they all kind of say a few words.
Yeah, and like, oh, we should have trusted her more, believed in her, yada yada yada, as they're like huddled around her dead body. And someone,
they're like, wait, where's Silverbolt?
Yeah, wait, where's Silverbolt? Oh no, we better go find out. And then the Transmetal driver is in the same room as her, coincidentally. How convenient. Mm-hmm. And it starts glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And we cut to Silverbolt chasing down Tarantulas, and
cut back and forth. And when we cut back to the Arc Mountain, the Transmetal driver floats over to Blackarachnia's body and spins in front of her chest, like powering up.
Just before we go back there, Silverbolt attacks Tarantulas, and Tarantulas, like his like weird like shoulder things, like actually like turn forward and start spinning and shooting like machine guns, like machine gun blasts. Have we ever seen that before? Because it's pretty fucking cool looking. At around 1650 on Tubi.
We've briefly seen it, but not up close.
Oh, okay. Because these things are cool.
It like design wise makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah.
Like, those like his wheels having those like holes actually just like shooting. So he doesn't use his what did they you know how like OG Tarantulas and Blackarachnia shoot out of their legs, their spider legs, like machine guns. That's cool, but like the giant like shoulder pauldron wheels shooting it's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
you might be right. Maybe we've never seen that.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing it, but we could have seen it in passing or something, and I just didn't notice. Yeah, it's cool.
There's always like new weird shit that we're like noticing.
And yeah, like you were saying back at Arc Mountain, the Transmetal driver like perks right up and like flies and
goes over to her.
Yeah, it goes over to her. It's like spinning around and like starts glowing, and her body starts shaking.
Her body starts shaking, her mouth opens, and like the sound of like a heartbeat slowly coming back.
Yeah, which I mean, do they have hearts?
Whenever it showed a spark, it's always up close and exposed, like in the pods. It's always shown them going boo-doo, boo-doo, boo-doo.
Oh, like, yeah.
Kind of like not quite like a heart, but just its own kind of like special sound effect. But this doesn't sound like that. It sounds more like a human heart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to nitpick that. And yeah, blue like tendrils, like come out and go inside of Blackarachnia's body. And somehow, in the battle with Tarantulas, Silverbolt is winning.
He does. Like, this is kind of badass, and I wish like he had gone the full 9. He takes one of his style hand grenades that stick out of his wing, his like stick grenades, and like sticks it into the ground straight up and picks up Tarantulas and is straight up going to impale him on this thing. Like, and I wish
picks him up over his head.
Yeah.
And he's going to slam him down and fucking impale him. And I'm like,
I wish they'd just gone the full 9. Like, we've seen characters on the show get impaled before.
Oh, that's a good point.
Tarantula specifically.
Also, this would be a good time to kill off Tarantulas. Like, isn't that a fucking like crazy bad? Like, if he killed him and then realizing that Blackarachnia is still alive, has regrets, like has some sorrow over taking a life, even an enemy one. That's
even though it's Tarantulas.
I wouldn't fucking care. I'd be like, I will kill Tarantulas 10 times in different ways, in different parallel universes. I will find ways to enjoy it. But I think they should have given him that. He should have just fucking like killed him.
Agreed.
Ugh. It would have made Silverbolt's character a lot more interesting too.
And
Rampage is watching and like licking his lips, and he's like, "Such pain, such glorious suffering."
Well, he yells
deep in it.
He yells out to Silverbolt too. He's like, "Now, that's not a very maximal thing to do."
Yeah, because what does he do? He like shoots him and stops him from killing Tarantulas.
Yeah,
I feel like Rampage would let him do it and then stop him. Like let him kill Tarantulas and then attack Silverbolt.
Yeah.
Because then he could be like, "Oh, I arrived too late." And he doesn't like the Predacons.
Yeah.
Like he wants to kill them. Probably more than the Maximals, if you ask me. Maybe an equal amount, but he's only being like enslaved by one side right now. So
yeah.
We kind of feel like his enemy number 1 is Megatron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like Rampage would have let Silverbolt kill Tarantulas first. But the show likes Tarantulas. He's a popular cringy villain, so they keep him on the show.
And apparently some of the listeners really like tarantulas too.
Do they talk
I've
shit about us making fun of hating on tarantulas?
No, just I've gotten like DMs and like comments and whatnot from people being like, "Hey, I really like tarantulas. He's my favorite character."
I like him as like a villainous character.
Yeah,
I don't like him. It's hard to describe. Like, I can like a villain because they add a lot to like the show, but I can think they're creepy and evil and deserve death. Like, if I practice like empathy like for the show.
yeah,
right. Like he's not a good guy.
he's an effective villain. I'll give him that.
Yes. Yeah. You love to hate him.
Speaking of which, Rampage shoots Silverbolt and then like steps on his arm so he can't, as he's trying to reach for his like hand grenade thing.
Yeah,
his
and
stick
then
grenade thing.
is that his only weapon? I feel
We've talked about that before. It is his only weapon at this point. He can shoot them, or he can throw them, or he can hit things with them.
Oh, like a melee weapon.
Yeah.
I feel like he got the short end of the stick as far as weapons go.
The short end of the stick, you say?
Oh. Yes, the short end of the steel hand grenade.
Which I feel like using an explosive device as a melee weapon is probably not wise.
I've always wondered that. I'm like, what? This is not a good up close weapon, homie. Rampage does something on Rampage of him and pins him down and points his gun at him, and he's like, over so fast. This will hardly be any fun at all.
And we hear Blackarachnia's voice yell out, "Yeah, for you, Creepazoid.
This will be very painful for you." And I'm like, how'd she get there so fast?
Well, she's Transmetal 2 now.
2? Oh, she's not just Transmetal, she's Transmetal 2.
Yeah.
So now, poor Rhinox. He's like one of the only ones at the bottom of the... What do we got? Rhinox?
Pretty much him and Inferno. Inferno and Waspinator.
Yeah.
Last
year's model.
Yeah, and we see a Transmetal spider, and she yells out Blackarachnia, maximize.
Maximize specifically.
Yeah, she's a maximal now.
Is this the first time we've heard her say maximize?
Yep. Predacon shell program's gone.
Even though she's been with the maximals, has she just transformed without any audio cue?
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think she said terrorize, but she's never committed to maximize.
Yeah.
Am I correct? So
she's never considered herself a maximal. She's just working with them out of necessity.
Yeah. So when she says maximize, I was like, hold up though. Is the Predacon like part dead? Is that why she's willing to say that?
Yeah. The Predacon shell programming is gone.
Okay. I was gonna that was my question of the episode. Is like is it gone, or is she how much is she the same? Because she was worried it would fundamentally change her personality. And
it doesn't appear to have.
So
I
think it's dope.
She transforms and's got a pretty sweet looking transmetal body.
Love the new look. And goodbye.
That's what made me laugh earlier. Yeah. Rampant. I'll put that as the audio at the beginning of this episode.
It's a funny line.
Yeah.
When she does like a triple Salcal down and dodges the shot, she lands right in front of him. This is what I laughed at, and she's like, "You missed." Yeah. he knows. You landed in front of him. She has human teeth with like vampire fangs.
She does, yeah. I kind of dig it.
I like the vampire fangs, but it's weird when you see Cybertronians with human teeth. I get the same weird vibes when Transmetal Optimus had sharp teeth, I'm always like, it's just a little disarming. But I like the vampire fangs. She still got her luscious lips. They gave her a nose when she didn't have a nose before. Not used to it, like a human nose. Not quite used to that. Because before, she's got kind of, what has she got? She has kind of like a button nose, right? Like it comes down and it's just like a little triangle and it's not much. Yeah. I still like it. I just like her OG form more.
I have no thoughts about her nose. I didn't even really notice, honestly.
She's got heels though.
Just saying.
Just saying.
So
and
she
Chun-Li's Rampage.
Yeah, and then she goes to beast mode and then attaches a web to him and then spins him around, does an around the world. And then she says a weird line. She's like, some crabs just never know when to let go. And I'm like, okay, what?
I like your willingness to try catchphrases. But it's like a 2 out of 10. Do you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning?
Oh, God. The same thing that happens to everything else. The greatest line in
I like
all of
face palmed
films released in the year 2000. Yeah.
It's an OG like X-Men.
Yeah, it's a line. It's a line from the first X-Men film.
What were the Is that funny? I give Storms a 2 out of 10, and I give Blackarachnia as a 1 out of 10. They're both bad.
So she finally lets go of him and throws him toward the mountain, and there is a comical like black just like cutout of like his shape.
When Looney Tunes like slam through walls and it leaves a perfect outline in the wall.
Yeah.
Except it's solid stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Blackarachnia, Transmetal Blackarachnia saves the day.
She sure does.
And back at Arc Mountain, and she's like, okay, all right, I'll just say what she says, basically. She says, I wish I could explain it. Like, basically, I was dead, walking toward a light, and then all of a sudden, I'm racing towards Silverbolt and saving him. And so, the Transmetal driver in this episode is the Deus Ex Machina to end all Deus Ex Machinas. And so she is acknowledging that she doesn't understand what happened or why that happened. But it happened. Now, this is a prime example of a writer hanging a lantern on something. Because we know that this is really hokey, that this just happened without any explanation. So to divert attention away from that, Blackarachnia is acknowledging that it's weird that there's no explanation for it.
These guys don't have security cameras in their base.
I've said it before, and I've said it again. Hanging a lantern on something is just covering up bad writing.
Now, if it explains...
And this is an otherwise, like, actually pretty good episode, but the Transmetal driver... I'm less
offended by it.
The Transmetal driver suddenly... I'll go on to this more when we summarize, give our thoughts about this episode.
It's suddenly moving over to her body when it was, like, inactive before, and glowing energy and, like, reviving her is... I better get a lot of answers. That is like, I'm okay with it if there are answers. And I'm skeptical that there will be. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, that particular item is actually like a relic of blah, blah, blah. And it was designed to revive blah, blah, blah. It's essentially like ancient alien, like shock paddles. If you told me that, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
I don't mean to rain on your parade, but I've looked on the Transformers wiki. The Transmetal driver is never explained.
We get nothing about
Nothing.
why it flew over to her and consciously, as if it were alive, powered up and revived her.
Nothing.
Well, there you go, folks. All these answers, none of these answers and more.
and more will ever be answered about this 25-year-old cartoon. Yeah, so Silverbolt and Blackarachnia exchange some dialogue, and he's just like, oh, I thought you were dead. And she's like, oh, you can't get rid of a prize like me that easily, Jojo.
I like that she calls him Jojo.
Like, yeah.
I liked that too. I'm actually fine with their relationship and the writing for it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like, mushy. And now I just kind of like it. I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
Like I like that she's not afraid to. She's never shown affection to him in front of the others.
Until now.
So he's always been after her, and she's kind of just been like, and then in private they've oh boy, smooching time. So I like that.
She gives him a kiss, and it shocks him.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And for some reason, my monitor keeps turning off randomly.
To let you know that we've been recording too long, and we should.
No, it's been doing it all night. I gotta maybe figure that out after we're done recording.
A wire or something. But she says something to him. She's like, hey, if you keep trying to like put your life in danger and trying to save me.
And if I have to keep saving you when you're trying to save me, basically.
Then our, what does she say? Then our future is in doubt.
Yeah.
So knock it off. I like their lives. And he's like, I cannot accept that because I will forever be your champion, my lady. And I'm like, you get a pass on that one. Silverbolt.
Yeah, so that's the episode.
There it is.
Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough energon to sufficient energon to too much energon, which is basically bad, okay, good. Cal, what are you rating Crossing the Rubicon?
It just fell into am I grading on a scale? I don't want to be too hasty. I haven't rated anything in this season.
Think about last week. Think about last week's episode.
Oh, well, in that case, that's a good fucking point, man. I gave that way higher than you did. You know what? Yes. This is too much energon for me. Not necessarily because of the plot, but the plot was okay. And what made it for me was Blackarachnia's dialogue and her interactions with the others and her lowering her guard a bit. And also she looks cool.
Yeah.
Rhinox like burdened again with saving someone's life. Fuck, man. Like, this guy's going to have mental breakdown soon. It's like, oh, something scientific and dangerous needs to be done. Rhinox, here you go. And he's like, okay. It's too much energon. I fucking like it, man. I like how it ended.
Yeah, I'm glad you went with the too much energon rating because I'm gonna give this episode a low too much energon.
But it falls into too much energon for you.
It's the first too much energon of the season.
Yeah, and it's from both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this episode. This episode has a pretty. I like the emotional core of this episode. The just
Her
Blackarachnia.
attitude, facing death.
Yeah, Blackarachnia,
It's
like struggling with the notion of like, oh well, what now? I die or I become a Maximal, and I like how the rest of the Maximals are really like rallying behind her.
Yeah, man. Like she was, and they had that moment of like, oh shit, like, man, we should have trusted her more. So
Yeah,
her actually being alive, they can fulfill that better now.
the episode moves along really quickly. The pacing's great.
Yeah.
Revenge, like vengeance quest, Silverbolt, like that shit was awesome.
Gonna murder tarantulas, not even in a quick way, like a Punisher way.
Yeah. Blackarachnia's new form. Blackarachnia had some great lines this episode, and
She really did.
Venus Terzo, her voice actress, delivered them
Oh,
rather well. I
the
think
best line.
this is probably the best episode of the season so far.
Oh, easily.
I do quite like Optimal's situation, but
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
This episode
Up there.
gets a slightly higher rating from me. It's
Oh, you like it
losing.
a little bit more.
I do, yeah. It's losing points because of the Deus Ex Machina at the end.
There's so much unexplained alien shit that it doesn't bug me anymore. I'm just like, yeah, sure, make Dino Clone 2 out of it. You know what? Where Cheetor 2. Why the fuck not? He's a were cheetah.
Yeah.
So at this point, after like were cheetah, like defeating like the primal side of his mind, the feral side of his mind, an orb floating over Blackarachnia and just reviving her. It's lazy. It would have been cooler if she had something like Cheetor, but
I kind of wonder if Blackarachnia hanging a lantern on the Deus Ex Machina, I kind of wonder if that was DC Fontana at least trying to like, because she's like a professional like TV writer. She'd been writing in television for like 30 years by this point. I kind of wonder if that was her trying to basically reconcile with something that in a story that she was given, because usually in shows like this, like the story is written up by the showrunners and then they hand it off to the person to write the script for the episode. I wonder if that was her like just trying to reconcile like a story element that she recognized was just completely unexplained. And she's like, and her being like a classic like TV writer was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna hang a lantern on this.
And kind of be like, when you have the characters go, oh, nobody knows. Then,
exactly, yeah.
yeah.
Because like we don't really see that much in this show. Like all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff goes unexplained in this show, and we never really see characters actually hang a lantern on it. But in this episode,
acknowledge that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but in this episode,
either further
someone
explained
did
or just forgotten.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder, but yeah, pretty huge Deus Ex Machina. So the episode loses points from me for it, and my monitor turned off again. This is getting frustrating.
How dare!
How dare indeed. So
you are my slave machine. You will behave as you are meant to.
So that has been episode 9 of the 3rd season of Beast Wars, Crossing the Rubicon.
Too much ENERGON. Finally.
The spider has come back to planet ENERGON.
The spider has come back to planet ENERGON.
If you want to support the show, wherever you're listening to this, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a thumbs up, give it a 5-star rating, anything. Helps us out with discoverability. Check out the website, www.toomuchenergon.ca, where you can listen to embedded episodes of every episode of this show. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/toomuchenergon, or for a more generalized Lasercomb Facebook page, which has
There's all of the Lasercomb productions.
has posts relating to every podcast that I produce. Facebook.com/Lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. And speaking of that, you can follow me on Twitter at the same. I am at Lasercomb on Twitter. And you can also follow the show's Twitter account at TooMuchEnergon. Cal, you have Twitter as well, yes?
I have a tweet. I
stopped using
Facebook. I stopped using the Facebook, and I thought, because I like watching birds, so I was like, I'll go to Twitter. People upload birds there, right? And so, you know what? I semi-joke. Like, there's an inside joke between like that Snidler made on Alphanumeric that
yeah,
I join and I just upload pictures of birds. But that's kind of what I've just been doing. Like, oh, look at these geese. Oh, look at these ducks.
It's the perfect platform for it, right?
It's perfect, yeah. Isn't that what Twitter is about? But you can follow me at neo_cal with a K.
All right. That has been episode 43 of Too Much Energon. We will be back next week with the 10th episode of season 3 of Beast Wars, Master Blaster. And
Master Blaster.
What that means is we have 3 more weeks of covering Beast Wars episodes.
Wow.
Yep, we're almost there, folks.
Master Blaster.
What in tarnation indeed.
Oh no, I just looked at the synopsis.
Yep.
What in tarnation indeed. Fuck. Don't worry, I'm sure Quick Strike will grow on me in the next 3 episodes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we've been going on for a while here, so we're gonna
log off.
We're gonna convert back to beast mode and head to base.
Or are we gonna maximize? We can say whatever we want now. There are no rules, man.
Yeah, right.
We don't even have to say anything.
All right. I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week, maximize!
Beast mode?
Beast mode!